Here we are, another day.
Welcome to 3D Accuracy, where I'll talk about 3D printing, 3D product design, and 3D injection and die-cast mold design.
After we made the changes yesterday, it took a little time to get that reworked. Let me show you what we've done with that. So I pulled up the herringbone pattern I had with single plank and redid the center of the room so that the center of one of these sections of 3 is now in the center of the room. And what I'm trying to do is get both ends to be as close as possible, but I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll see when we get to the other ends. Of course, it won't be noticeable anyway. But more importantly is front to back. I wanted it to be the same so that when I cut that edge that goes under the roll-up doors, I've got a nice clean edge there without a lot of little pieces, and the same on the back side. So we'll see if we got that close or not. But anyway, that's what the pattern looks like now. It's kind of a herringbone in sections of 3, as you can see, and that breaks up the illusion that you have high spots and low spots, because when you look across the room before with all the planks laid down, it looked like it went like this. And my wife wasn't crazy about it. I could have lived with it because I tend to like herringbone pattern anyway. So, but I said, okay, well, let's come up with something else, see what we can come up with. And she found this idea. Actually, it was a 2-plank herringbone is what she found on the internet. And we decided to try it with 3 and see how that looks. And the 3-plank pretty much made the illusion of up and down go away, and it still looks nice. We still like it. It's visually interesting. We like it much better than a straight floor. So for today, all of these planks are just sitting in position loose. You can see there's still the paper underneath them. Only this section, this panel, this group, this group, this group, all the way down to about there are actually glued to the floor. And I've got a 50-pound bag of sand sitting there on a tough spot that doesn't want to stay down to the floor because there's a little bit of high and low around that pole. And so I just decided, well, let that sit there for a while, see if I can get it to stick. Okay, so anyway, that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the day. You can see these planks here still have the paper on the back. You can see along the edges, and these are already stuck on the floor. But you see all that glue that's on the planks? It's like, oh my God, there's just glue all over the place. And I tried yesterday the isopropyl alcohol that I had, and I didn't follow back up on that. So what I tried was just regular isopropyl alcohol, and it broke up the glue a little bit, but it kind of smeared it around more than removed it. And so it's like, no, that doesn't work. And then I remembered, oh yeah, I've got some of this other stuff called Goof Off, which is made for adhesive and glue removing. So I've used this stuff on other times when I've pulled up a peel and stick floor or a glued down floor to remove the glue, and it does an okay job, but I'm hoping it's going to do a better job with this because it's, you know, fresh glue on the tops of the planks, not old glue that's been in the floor for years and it's hard. And so I'm hoping that I can clean it up with that. So first I want to lay some more planks. I want to finish out this row here, and then I want to come in and do this next row here, and then do this row on the other side and this row. And then once I get these laid down, then I want to do some cleanup, see if I can get some of that glue off, and then I need to move this printer over into this location where it's going to be and get it all hooked back up and ready to run. so I can 3D print some parts this week. I got customers that are going to need some things coming up here, so I got to get this done and get them taken care of. So anyway, that's the plan for today, for what's going to happen next, just getting all these planks down. So I'm going to work on that, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I've got that finished. Back again. It's actually the next morning, or almost afternoon. It's about 5 minutes to 12, so it's almost noontime. I was out here until 1:45 in the morning earlier today. I'm getting my days mixed up. Doing this long, stretches of trying to get this floor laid has got me all confused. Anyway, let me show you what I accomplished yesterday. Okay, got more of the floor done, made it all the way to the wall, and started spreading out into both directions, laying the floor, and a little bit over here, and was working this corner, which takes a little time because you got to measure and cut, and then I don't want to overcut and have a big gap, so I kind of creep up on it a little bit, and I got to do this little section here and then over here, and then this portion of the wall or the floor is up against the wall, and it looks pretty good. I like the looks of it. So, but it takes longer to lay these planks than I had hoped it would, because it's just dealing with this sticky, gooey, gluey mess. And I said to my wife, after having experienced this, I almost think I would have rather had just plain planks, the flexible planks, and applied an adhesive to the floor and stuck them down, because I think it would have been a little easier to deal with than having this glue just leaching out. You can see all the shiny spots is glue that seeped between the planks in the box. Every box is like this that I opened up, all 24 boxes, but I'm getting them all down. And then, the other thing I discovered is I had this really strange spot. I don't know that you can really see it, but it's a little bit low here, and then it goes up to the pole, the concrete, and I ground that out a little bit to level it as much as I could, but I didn't want to get too aggressive with it. But I dropped this 50-pound bag of sand. I mean, literally dropped it. I got 4 or 5 inches, 6 inches from the floor, and then dropped it into place, because the sand being heavy and the impact, it'll conform and push the tile down, push that plank down. And I let that sit, and late last night I moved it, and bingo, that worked like a charm, getting it to hold that down and address that little bit of a low spot in there. So now I'm moving it around, because I've got spots, especially where I peeled the floor up and then reapplied it, where it's not sticking down as well as I'd like it to. So I'll just keep moving this bag of sand around as I work the room and let it hold those planks down, and I'm hoping that's going to do the trick. But in the flat areas, they stick pretty good. They stay down for the most part. I haven't had any problems with that so far. So we'll see how that goes. What's the goal for today? What's on the agenda? What's the goal? What are we going to do? Lay more planks. Let's get this thing done. So we'll get floor planks laid, and then later on today, when I get some more of this done, then I'll take another video and show you what that looks like. So I'm working on laying the planks along the one wall in the shop, and I've got a strange situation here, a little thing, and I want to show you what I'm going to do with it. Just a little tip that maybe somebody could use in the future. So let me show you what I've got and what I'm going to do to attack it. I'm just filling in this little corner here. You know how when the planks come this way, I end up with this triangle, and I got to fill in the little pieces, cut them to fit. And so in this corner here, what I end up with is a situation, and because I didn't do this in the CAD software, I only did this pattern on the fly, basically. We decided to change it, and so we did. So here's the situation I've got. I've got to lay another plank going this way in this little triangle. But when I put a piece in here, you'll see that the width of the plank is not wide enough. When I align that, and I leave a little tiny pie-shaped piece in here that's going to leave a little tiny triangle void, kind of look like that. The plank's going to end right about there. So I can't make the plank any wider, but what I can do, and what I'm going to do, is this is the piece that I had around the pole originally when we had the original herringbone. So I'm going to make use of this piece. I'm going to cut it off right here so it fits the depth this way. Put the angle on it, cut the angle so that it matches this border of the wall, and it'll come all the way to here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to split this board in half. I'm going to someplace here, I'm going to cut it, and then I'll patch in another small piece that goes all the way to the corner, doesn't leave that little, little bit of an angle in there. I wish you could see that better. It's going to end up with a situation like that, only a little bit smaller. It's going to, once that falls in, you see it's a little tiny thing. And of course I don't want to try to patch a little piece in there. So what I'll do is I'll split this board so that the next one I can make it a little bit wider and just cover all the way to that hole and make a triangular piece that comes maybe to here and then down to here, and then have this other piece cut right here. So I'll split this. I'd rather have a seam than have a gap, have that little triangle shape in there. So anyway, that's just a little hint, a little tip. Somebody maybe can use that idea if they're ever doing something of this nature. And I'll show you what it looks like after I get it done. Here's how that turned out. You see, here's my board that I'm going to use. This was the piece that was up on the top of it. See, this cut here is the same as this line here. That corner, I cut that corner off. Now the plank goes all the way up into position. That's a little out of whack, but it fits in there. There we go. It fits in there. And now you see this piece that I cut off the end. All I got to do is turn this around this direction, and you can see up here, there's that little tiny piece that's going to show, because you're going to see the white behind the wall in that corner. And all I'm going to do is slide this guy up into that spot, and then that'll take care of that little crack in there. And then I just cut a line so I've got a larger piece, and I split the board underneath it. I just cut a line here and cut a line here, and I patch this larger piece in there and fill that little tiny crack, get rid of that. And you probably won't even notice it because it'll be just a little tiny line in there, but it'll look much better than having that gap. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut that up and piece it together, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Here's how that turned out. You see, I have the little piece in there, and I split it right there. You can see a very fine line. Put a little bit larger piece in the corner so that I don't end up with that little pie shape that's exposed over here. This is because it's small, it's not wanting to stick down. I'll probably have to put some weight on it because it's a small piece. And there's actually not a lot of adhesive on the bottom of these for as much as they get all over everything. It's surprising that there's not a lot there. So I may need to put a little extra adhesive in that one spot, which I can do. I can address that later on, not important to do it right now. But I got the pieces cut and it works. So now I'm gonna do this little shape in here, fill this in, and then after I get that done, then I'll continue lying the planks up this row, and then over here on the other side, let's see, I got all the way to there, then I'll finish out this row and get these guys done. So that's the goal. Of course, we'll see how far we get. It's time consuming to cut all these little pieces and patch them in, so it takes a little bit of time and patience. But that's okay. We'll get it done.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work. It's not easy, you know? They make it sound like it's so easy. Peel and stick. Whee! Isn't that fun? But they don't tell you. The glue gets all over everything. Your gloves. I gotta wear gloves because it's so nasty that I don't want to touch that stuff. And then it's like all over everything. All the tools have glue. My shoes have glue. Everything. Both sides of the planks have glue because the glue soaks through the paper backing and it gets on the face of the other tile, the other plank in the box. So it's, what a mess. And then the planks aren't all the same size. Some are a little shorter, some are a little narrower, some are a little longer. And so you got places where it's out of whack a little bit and there's gaps and it'd be nice if it wasn't so messy and if they were all the same size. That would be wonderful. But you know where this stuff is made, and so that's what you get. That's what you get. You get good enough. You get good enough. You never get something that's, wow, that's really good. That is really good. I like it. I have never had a product, never purchased something from that place and said, wow, this is really good. I'm impressed. It's always just good enough. Terrible. And this is the same way. It's just good enough. So it'll do the job. It's getting there. But then it takes a lot of time to do cut all the little angle pieces along the border, along the wall. Because they're not full planks. Laying the full planks, that's not too bad. But laying the small planks, you gotta cut them up and you gotta fit them, you gotta get them just right. And because they're not all the same, they're not even, it's a little this way, a little that way. So we make the best of it with what we have. But it's coming. Finish this row, finish those couple rows over there, and I'm going to attempt to clean the glue off what I already have down. Wash the tops with that goof off stuff, whatever the heck it's called. Get that stuff, and hopefully it'll pick up the glue without a lot of trouble. And then I can start moving machines and get them set up, get a couple of them in position. And I got to think about what to do with the big one in the corner. I got to move it out and do the floor underneath it and move it back. So I'm debating how I want to do that. But one thing at a time. For right now, I just want to get all these planks down and be done with this part of it. I still have to do along that side. So there's lots to be done. It takes a while to do this stuff. Are you taking again or what? Oh, okay. And because there's so much glue on the top of the planks, I got to put a plastic bag underneath my kneeling pad so I don't get it all full of glue. And it's, what a mess, what a mess. And all of these planks, getting the paper off the back can be a little tricky on some of them because they don't leave you much of an edge to grab onto. And some of them, the paper peels as you take it off if you get a little too aggressive with it. So you kind of got to pull it slowly and let it do its thing. You can't just, okay, let's peel this off and lay the plank. No, it's a 3-minute project just to get the paper off. Well, probably not 3 minutes, but you know what I mean. It feels like 3 minutes. Feels like it should be much easier. I mean, peel and stick sounds simple. Doesn't sound like a major project, but It's more of a project than you'd think. And because it's so sticky over everything, it's hard to just get rid of stuff. And then I'm kind of working in a block of three planks. And so when I lay them down, I don't push them down really hard. I get all three of them in position first and then see, okay, what do I have to deal with? Are they all the same size? Are some shorter? Some I have to have gaps in order to get the outsides to line up so that the next set comes up against it neatly. Oh, and then one thing I discovered, these little dams that I put, when I put the sealant in the expansion joints here, it sticks up a little bit above, and it makes it a problem to get the tile to lay down. What I should have done, I think, is when I caulked it out and put it down, I should have smoothed it out with the tool instead of just letting it sit. It said self-leveling. Well, yeah, it is to a point, but it has enough of a high spot to it that it makes it difficult for the plank to sit flat, especially when you have two of them come together over that little bump. So I've just been cutting it off with the tool here in order to level it out, and that's worked. That does the job, but it would have been easier when I put those in originally to take and smooth them out. But not something I do every day for a living, so you learn as you go.
I hope you really enjoyed this video. If you're ever in need of 3D product design, 3D injection mold design, 3D die-cast mold design, or 3D printed prototypes or production parts, please feel free to contact me. You can find contact information in the video description. I look forward to hearing from you and to being of service to you. Thank you for watching. As always, I appreciate it. See you on 3D Accuracy's next video.